is not the dollar amount, it's not the interest rate, it's the volume. And so when people hear you about $26 here, $18 there, all that adds up. It's the volume that really starts destroying your wealth. It's not the actual dollar amount. It's why you can sign up for a gym membership at Planet Fitness for $19 a month. It's not the $19 a month. It's the volume that you're gonna pay over time for not going to the gym.
Welcome back to another episode of WealthWise Banking. Today, I think we have our most famous guest we've ever had on the show. I am so excited. She is the warrior goddess of our life, of all the men in this house. She's our queen, our energy, and I'm excited to have my beautiful wife, Maria Patricia Romo Valadares Sipple, or maybe Patricia Sipple, on today's episode. So how are you, my friend?
Hey, I'm doing great. I'm excited to have Patty on today. So, Patty, are you ready? Are you ready for this?
Yes, I am ready to share whatever I've seen you guys, talking in your journey. And so I'm excited to tell people about it because sometimes, from a woman's perspective, some things are different than from a guy's perspective.
Amen. We need more women's perspective in our life. And you guys all know how this starts off. So with two truths and a lie. Now, the people playing along, you know that you're better than Jeremy and I. If you're keeping score, let us know how you are actually doing. But today I'm excluding myself. Why? Because it's a lose-lose situation. If my wife says two truths and a lie, and I don't know what they are, she's going to say, honey, you're not paying attention, are you? or if I get it right, and I'm like, yes, I've been such a good husband, a good partner. You guys are all going to say, that ain't fair. So, Jeremy, any thoughts on that? Pat, any thoughts on that?
Lose.
The way I look at it is the only way that I can fail here is get it wrong, but I'm not falling any further behind. So this might be my bonus stage, my bonus round. So let's do it. Patty,
it is a bonus round.
Yeah, bonus round for me. Patty, two truths to lie. Let's go.
Okay, so I went into the rainforest and I walked in a swamp that was above my knees where there were alligators and snakes everywhere. That's number one. When I was little, I used to wait until the airplanes would come. I was close to the airport and I would climb the brick wall just that separated the airport and run through the runways until I could lay down in the middle of the grass between the runways to make sure I was able to watch the plane as it would take off. So I was like in the most closest dangerous part, but it was the most amazing part. And then the other one was when I swam with sharks and a shark almost ate me. Like bite me, not eat me, but bite me.
All right. So
Jeremy.
All of these are little. Yeah. So they live in Florida. It's not uncommon for you guys just walk in your backyard and be surrounded by alligators in the swamp. That's a possibility. I know you coming from South America. Is it South or Central America?
Ecuador, South America, Ecuador.
Okay. So South America. I fly into Guayaquil, and I know that you can no longer run onto the runway out there at Guayaquil. So if that's the airport you're thinking of, I'm going to say that's a no. The other one, I can see you going out with sharks. I can see that. So I'm going to actually say the runway, laying down in the runway is the lie.
And that was probably the most tame. That was probably the most tame thing. You want to let Jeremy know how he did?
You can tell him, honey. I know you know.
So Jeremy, she has been in the Amazon rainforest, going through the swamps up to her knees with spiders and snakes and all kinds of creepy crawlies, with a guide macheteing stuff so that she could walk through. She did, in fact, all the time go lay in the grass when the planes were taking off right next to the runway, like feet, like I'm not joking, like feet away from the runway. And Quito, which is the capital of Ecuador, because she grew up with her backyard right up against the airport. And then the lie, she hasn't punched any sharks, swam with any sharks yet.
All right. So at least I didn't fall any further behind. That's all. It was a bonus round. It is what it is. Anyway, you ready to get to the episode, Patty?
Yes.
You tell my wife is fairly adventurous. She kind of is a thrill seeker, likes adventure. First time, real quick side, other fun fact about Patty, truth about Patty. We got the opportunity to jump off the first bungee bridge in New Zealand a year ago. And I was terrified. So I said, yes, I'll do it because I don't like heights. Patty went up there. She was the second or third person, did not need a drink. She looked like, I mean, I'm surprised they even got the ropes on her before she jumped off. And when she jumped off, she looked like a swan. She just soared and she got done. And she's like, I want to do another one. I want to go higher. Because there's one that's like it's like 900 feet high. It's like 300 meters. This one was 100. She said, what? Was that the best feeling ever?
Yes.
Other than me proposing?
Yes.
Of course.
Free fall. Bungee jumping is probably one of the biggest, scariest things that I think that you could end up doing. So I've always wanted to do it. The time when I was in Australia to go bungee jumping, I asked them when was the last time the rope snapped, and he said last week, so I walked away.
That's probably a wise choice. New Zealanders are the ones that actually started bungee jumping from the Eiffel Tower, I believe, was the first time that anyone had ever done that in recorded history. We're not talking about the tribal folks that do that for rite of passage. So anyhow, let's get into this.
All right. So in today's episode, why did we want Patty involved, right? She lives with Jason. They're obviously married. We wanted a little bit more than just a woman's perspective on it, but I also wanted to hear a little bit about like what took you or the hurdle to jump over, right? When Jason came home and he was teaching this whole thing, hey, Patty, I've got this thing called the Infinite Banking Concept. What was the first thing that ran through your mind? Because I can tell you from my wife's perspective, she just shut down. She's like, oh, another financial thing, right? She just shut down. What about you? How did you take it?
I thought he was crazy. I actually told him, I took him in the front porch of our house so our kids cannot hear. And he was going through a lot of changes by this time, right? A lot of like trying to find everything better for us. So there were a lot of things going on. So when he came with, infinite banking, he is going to quit his job. We're going to use our 401k, IRAs, everything. We're going to take it all out. We're going to do all these crazy things. I took him outside to the porch very kindly and I sat with him and I hold his hand and I say, honey.
She brought the bag.
No, I said, no. I said, mi amor, if you need a break from us, not a divorce, a break, because you need to go somewhere to think what you want with your life, I support you. I can stay here with Connor and Diego. I can, find, I am capable of getting a job, to make more money. If you need to have a break, maybe a week or two, go somewhere where you can think what you want of your life, because I am freaking out. We just got this new house, all the things that people go through in marriages, right? New house, more kids, all the things. And I cannot sleep anymore. I don't know what to do. So you need to just re-see your life without, maybe I'm putting too much pressure on you. So I would just want to let you know that you can do that. That's what I added to him.
So you thought Jason was having a midlife crisis.
Yes, basically, I think that's what it was like. Or I thought maybe we were too much for him. He wanted to, because he likes also, he's goal oriented. He likes to do Ironmans. He likes to do all his things because he takes care of himself. So I also feel like maybe we are too much. And when you love someone, you don't want to be too much for that person, at least for me. So if he needed to be on his own so he can reach all the goals and things that he wanted for himself, I was willing to understand that. So yeah, that's what happened.
If I could, I'll
Jason,
be vulnerable.
Were you having a midlife crisis?
I always had, my midlife crisis was having a midlife crisis. When you feel like you know all the rules, then all of a sudden the game, and I'm not just talking about infinite banking, I'm talking about the game of life. When you think that for 40 plus years that you do things a certain way, you show up a certain way. I mean, this is where my passion comes from. Like this conversation right here, that moment was, you talk about scary, like mixed feelings of scared, angry, lost, confused, because what I wanted, what I was looking to do as, the leader of our home was to provide for Patty and my boys, to protect them, to create for them. And here I am, I finally, the lock has unlocked and I see a path forward for the first time in 46 years or 45 and a half years, like when I learned about this, because the book that was given to me when I asked for help. I was so lost, so scared, but I knew there was a better path forward. And, Patty was super kind, saying, "Hey, take some time, figure it out, go think about it." And as much as that's not what I wanted to hear, that might have been the kindest thing and the best thing that she could have said to me. And here we are, what, five years later, and we got a lot to share.
So when you had that epiphany moment, and Patty's now kind of freaking out, it's like, oh my goodness, my husband's having a midlife crisis, and Jason's like, I just had the biggest epiphany of my life. How do I protect? How do I share this? What were the steps, the initial steps to help Patty and yourself start implementing this process? Because, I mean, at what point, Patty, did you start to get it? Like, what was Jason doing and practicing for you to start understanding what it is and have this shared epiphany?
Yeah, actually, I am so glad he didn't quit. I am so glad he didn't either. He could have said, yes, I'm going to, go away for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Or he said, I'm not doing what he knew was he found the answer, right? Because he could have chosen those things. He actually said, no, I'm not going to leave you. Basically it was, no, you're crazy. I'm not going to do that. You're my family. I'm here for you. And he just let me be. He didn't force me to change my way at that moment. He didn't force me to change my thought. Of course, he knew I was not happy and I was crying and we were upset and we were arguing, but he let me be and he started doing it. He was so courageous that he started doing what he had to do. Like he just started, working to save to the first dumping. I mean, he started doing the process of to get to open his first policy, regardless of how I was feeling, regardless of if I was resenting him or anything. Because at the end, I think he knew that was when he says that, he's like, I knew I found it. And obviously his wife was not going to support him, but because he knew it was the right thing to do, and that he knew eventually when you do the right things, things start coming. He kept going until maybe a year afterwards, because I was working at the time from home, from the Hilton, and I was continue doing my life, and I was seeing him working, so I kind of felt a stability, right? But I would see because we paid the bills, and I was the one he was making the money, I was paying the bills, and I was seeing that how his income was at the beginning smaller, but then I started seeing how I'm like, oh my God, the things that he was talking and saying, and I could hear him, and he just trusted that life was going to make it work. And a year, but that's what happened, because I didn't want to quit on him, he didn't want to quit on me, but we were not in the same page at that moment. I thought he was on his.
I think the analogy that we give is Jason was a lighthouse. He wasn't a tugboat, right? So he showed you where safe harbor was, but he didn't push or pull you in the direction that he wanted you to go. He just showed you what, to him and to me and to others, what safety looks like, really, at the end of the day, to be the lighthouse, not to be the tugboat. And I think there's a lot to be said there, not just in re-educating or trying to, implement a new process in your life, but daily life with your spouse. The way that I work with my wife, there are times where she wants to do a certain thing or buy a certain thing, and I just say, I will be the lighthouse. I'm not going to say you're wrong, because I know at the moment I say she's wrong, she's going to do it no matter what. It's just about being the lighthouse at the end of the day.
It's faith.
And vice versa. There's times that she's been the lighthouse, she's brought me into harbor.
For me, it's been as much a journey of spirituality and faith that as it has been an energy, as it has been a financial journey. It's really been making a decision, which is what I tell people all the time. I mean, all the time. In the first year, this didn't work right away. Like it didn't work right away because I was in transition, walking away from, a $180,000 a year job, going down to part-time. I was completely dedicated doing this. I jumped into some other venture where I was using some of my skill sets I learned in coaching and some of the different influence things I've studied, right? Integrous influence. And I was trying to piece stuff together. Like I was literally doing whatever I could. I was helping people sell masterminds for their dental practice, like the Tony Robbins in the dental world, whatever I could, but always focused on this. Like, how could I spread this message? How could I work towards our goals? I was following anyone who had written about this, anyone who was online. I mean, you guys listened to these folks, like whether it was Garrett Gunderson or R. Nelson Nash or um, just a whole bunch of different people. I was following them, reading their stuff, learning, and I was just constantly like, I was obsessed. Like I've told this before, but I wrote a book about this stuff before I ever talked to a human about helping them solve their problem, whatever that might be. And it was because it was such an internal shift. I think that's the difference. Like I was certain to the highest degree without even practicing, which is, I don't think that's very common, Jeremy. Like, I think I was so desperate for a solution that I needed something to believe in and something that was going to put us back in control because everything I had done up to that point, it didn't matter how hard I worked, how many side hustles I got, how much money we made. I always felt desperate. I always felt scared. I always felt like money was just stressful. Like I had all these rules and stories and they were very traumatic. And a lot of them stem from things that weren't very traumatic, but they just left an imprint on me from a young age, probably from like 6 years old. So
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. As you're talking, and it seems like you're kind of at a point in your life where you needed to open yourself up and surrender yourself to a higher power. And the moment that you opened up and you said, "Hey, I need help. My family needs help," that's when this process that you were looking for kind of fell into your lap. Because we talk to our members over and over again. Many of them, they've heard about infinite banking. They may have read the book, but what do we say? Infinite banking is caught, it's not taught. And the moment that you open yourself up, that's when you can truly see the power that's kind of manifested right there. So you really manifested the answer, the solution that you needed at the time when you needed it.
yes. And when you say it's not taught, it's caught, that's from R. Nelson. Uh, my love, mi amor. When did you catch it? How long did it take and what had you catch it? Because I don't think I've asked you this question.
Well, it took me probably a year. And I mean, he would tell me the main thing that I remember would be like, "Are you working for the Hiltons or are you working for the Sipples?" He kept telling me over and over every time he could, and very nicely, so I don't get upset, because didn't want to push me, because sometimes he would try to taught me infinite banking and tell me, and I would really like no, like let me be. So he was very gentle in little by little, because he was okay. I'm going to let Patty see the results, right? That was the only way. Sometimes that we have to show the results for people to see, oh yeah, instead of just words. And in this case, I think that's what Jason did. He was just letting me be whatever I want to do. If I wanted to work for somebody else, something, he's like, whatever you want, honey, is okay. Then when when he found with his work, when we were already making what I was making, that's when he starts saying, you know what, if you don't want to work anymore, you don't have to work anymore, because now we are covered for these. And I was like, no, I still want to make my own money.
Ooh, she's making it sound so sweet. That was a tough one. I was actually getting coached, Jeremy, on some of this because it's very hard to work with your spouse. I'm sure everyone, if I say that, I was like, oh, if you work with your spouse, you say, oh yeah, that's the truth. And it's also, I think a lot of men would love to have their family involved in their business, in their life, in doing something that's meaningful together, because we feel that need, again, to protect and provide and to do the things. And when I had said that to her, like, hey, baby, who are you working for? Are you working for the Hiltons or the Sipples? And I remember the day that I told her, I don't know if you remember this, but I said, Me more. We're making enough now. I'm serving enough people, helping enough. Like I know this finally works because it didn't work for a while. Like nothing happened for the first 12 months at least. But when it started working, it started working and it started working fast. And so I said, hey, you can leave your job. We can cover the insurance. We can cover everything. You don't have to work at all. Right. And I think do you remember that?
No.
Do you remember your reaction?
No.
Angry.
Well, yeah, because I wanted to be my independence.
Angry. That's all I remember. I remember like, whoa, like and I was getting coached. Like my coach that I was working with at that time, like walked me through how to have that conversation, how to make it an invitation, how to not make it like, hey, why don't you just quit? Like leave it up to her. But the obvious choice was to join us on this mission and build something together. Another thing that changed, and I love you to talk about this, my love, was I started getting involved with the money, which I was never involved. I just thought I'd go make the money and I would just outwork the system. But I started, and Jeremy knows I'm not like him. Like I am not good in the spreadsheets. Like it's not my superpower, but I started making like the Sipple's pirate treasure hunt. I started looking how to track, like I think it's called like some kind of index that the Wealth Factory had. I learned how to do the formula. I put it on a chart. I started looking at all the debts, how much we were paying towards them, how much more we were paying than we needed to every month. And I started getting really involved in making decisions for us financially for the first time in our at that point 13, 14-year marriage, right? So do you remember?
Yeah, that was, now that he reminds me. So because Jason had he didn't understand about money and me neither. While he was working, I was the one paying the bills. I was the one doing everything. And because we were basically living paycheck to paycheck, I was not buying anything for me. So when he actually, and that was the thing that we learned together, which is the providing. So when he also told me to quit the job, it was no, because I had my money there right now. So if I wanted to go get my nails, if I wanted to do my things, I would have the money to do it. Because when we were with one income, because the way we didn't understand money, he would be very stressed for like a cent or a dollar or anything. So I would not spend any money on me. Like nothing on me, like literally absolutely nothing, like but zero. Like he was doing his triathlon, so we would for his triathlons, for his things. And of course that also created resentment on me, right? Because I would watch my husband getting all the things that he wants and he didn't. But he was so stressed because he didn't know how money works, that the Ironmans, he said they were your way out, or your way of having control of something that you, right? What?
Yeah, for me, I mean, that was about the doctor telling me, hey, your back's of a 60-year-old, not 26 years old. Now I'm 50 and I might have that back. But at 26, I was like, nah, man, that's not my thing. So it was a combination of identity, like I am an athlete and I am going to go feel strong again. And that was proving to myself over and over and over again that I was way more resilient than any words anyone could ever give me. And that's what I bring to this too. I actually bring that exact mentality to coaching and leading here. And I'm getting more bold with it, Jeremy, when I'm just telling people, listen, if you're going to work with me, be prepared to be held accountable. If you say you want something, I'm going to call you on it if you don't do the things. And not because not because I need you to do the things, but because you told me you want them. And until you tell me to lay off, I'm going to believe that you really want it. And everything is about being afraid or scared or confused and not taking action towards your bigger goal.
Yeah, because we've talked about multiple times, you can't delegate your thinking, you can't delegate your wealth. And some people do need an accountability partner. And it's great that you've signed up to be that accountability partner in the same way that Patty has shown up to be your accountability partner in this whole process now. Going from midlife crisis to sticking around for a year to, hey, here's an invitation to quit your job, Patty. Here's a follow-up question. How has infinite banking changed the way that you think about money? And not just for your family, but even for your kids' future, for Connor, for Diego.
So I, hearing Jason over and over, being patient, seeing the actual results when he opened the first policy, and then we pay all our debts. That's when I was like, wow, because I do realize that all the because I'm the one that was actually making the physical, going the computer and, making the payment, the next month when I didn't have to do that anymore. And then I know that money, we were going to pay it to last. I was like, oh my God, this is what it is. Until you actually don't practice it, like you guys say, get on the mat or take action, it's just words. And then I was like, I was so happy. I couldn't believe it that we were not paying anybody. And I love that. I was like, no, it's my car, right? Like my own car, seriously. And that all that every month, it was the end of the month. And Jason was like, oh, I'm transferring the $22,000 back every month because we were not paying anybody any else. That was like, I'm like, oh my God, this is actually working. This is actually real. Like we were
So you saw that
Yes, go ahead.
You saw that your family had like real control, like actual control of your finances, even in uncertain times. Because if I think about the time clock that was here, this was happening around the COVID era. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. A little right after. Right before is when I came home, and the first time that she brought me on the porch, because I told her I was walking away from my job to go into peak performance coaching,
Yes.
and she also. Actually, I lived downstairs for.
I brought him to the porch many times.
and then I when I go out there, the bags packed. That I know that's.
Pack your bags. I would talk with you. That is not true.
So I lived downstairs right before COVID happened for a couple months after going to my first Tony Robbins event, and just realizing that everything I was doing was for ego, and I just love people, and I was always putting leadership. Anyhow. It's not worth going into the story, but the whole point being is, yes, that's why I said my midlife crisis was having a midlife crisis when I finally found the key, which was banking. Like I thought it was coaching, I thought it was leadership, I thought like I was getting my MBA in leadership, like Patty has her MBA, and that was our agreement. We were doing traditional things, Jeremy, traditional thinking. Get your MBA so you can make a little bit more, so you can add a little bit more value, so someone else will pay you a little bit more. What they deem is your worth. And that didn't make any sense to me my whole life. Like when I was an artist, like still, I just took a bunch of paintings out of a closet today. We're getting some of our rooms redone this week. And I was looking at them and thinking, like, I still have rules around, like, how much are these worth? Should I sell these? I mean, they were in galleries and stuff, right? Like, so there's all these rules around money that I don't think we even explore. But to bring it back to Patty's journey, so she left the Hilton, and then what'd you do?
Allow me to take a break. He's like, okay, you don't have to do anything. And I was like, wow, this is good. I don't have to do anything. And then I was able to do stuff. Like I actually went to get my nails done. I mean, it's kind of like I was still like we were both learning about this, journey about understanding money, right? So we were still cautious with each other on the things to do and not to do. It was not an overnight. But eventually, I don't remember how it happened, but I started helping him because I thought, if it's our money, if it's us, why don't I put the time that I was putting for another person for us?
The Hillans.
Right?
You know them, yeah.
For us.
Yeah.
And somehow, I don't know if you remember how I started working with him, but not because I wanted to work with him. It was because how I was understanding infinite banking. And now how I wanted to, be able to ask to create more money for us, because that's, you guys said you need two things, right? You need to be in the business of making money. So I was like, okay, now we are having our own policies. We are having our own banking. Now we have to create the money to put in our banks. So then we can start working and using and making all our dreams come true. But it was the minute that we start understanding what money was, what it meant. How do you love money? That you just don't make it working really hard and just throw it whatever you want to, right? We start understanding that money is like, you love your kids or your, like some of us have pets too. We would not take our pet to the whatever park you want to. You would not buy any unhealthy food to your pet, right? Like to your kids. So why are we just wasting the money like that? Every dollar that we make, I start thinking we have to love that dollar and say, okay, my $1, I'm going to use you either to, I don't know, buy candy, or am I going to use you to invest in this? So that's how I start understanding the meaning of money. With the money meetings too that we had, we start, like, it's funny to say love money, but when you love something, you take care of it, right? It's not like you love it because you put it in an altar. And no, it's like you take care of it.
We're not worshiping it.
We're not worshiping money, but we love that with our money, we can do the things that we want to do for us and for other people. So we don't just throw it away anymore. We just don't use the debit card for whatever. And that's what I'm teaching my kids and even my family in Ecuador, where infinite banking can be practiced, but without a whole life policy. But now my mission, every time I can, that's what I try to share with everybody that I meet, regardless of what social status they are, because I think it's something that everybody should be able to be aware of, so they control their money, so they can have a better lifestyle, a better life.
Anyone listening, if you can't feel this beautiful woman's passion and her ability to gather, to bring love, like that's what she is to our community. She goes and she's engaging with people and she's caring for them and she's sharing and she shares to everyone. I'm always amazed, like wherever we are, whether we're at martial arts, a restaurant, her family in Ecuador, like she mentioned, wherever she has the opportunity, she's sharing the lessons we're learning, and the lessons don't stop. Like the more that, would you say that's pretty accurate? Like the more we learn, the less we know, but we're way more confident in what we do know and what we are doing.
But as a wife, it was really not easy for me. Like basically, I'm trying to tell the good things that happen. But I doubted him a lot of times. I would get mad when he wanted to talk about money, when the money meetings. I would be like, what do you mean money meetings? Like, because obviously we had all these rules, right? And he didn't like to talk with money before. So now in my mind was like, he didn't want to talk with money before me. He didn't want to even have a term insurance when Connor was born, which I basically had to force him. I had to grab his hand and make him sign, right? And that was in my mind as a woman. And now he wants to do all these things. Now he wants to tell me to love money. Like I had all these feelings, but he did not care. It's like he saw me going this crazy Tasmanian monster, saying whatever I want to. And he would just stare at me and say, okay. And then I was like, I didn't get any reaction for him. But it was not easy. I mean, for like the first year of our money meeting, it was always argument. And we would finish with argument. It would never finish like now. We finish with like good meeting, like
high fives. We have to visual high fives. Yeah.
At the first,
it only took 112 of them or something like that.
It was not easy because.
So
yes, go ahead.
Yeah. So no, I want to dive in a little bit deeper on something you touched on earlier. Is how do you see this fitting into Connor and Diego's lives, like for your children? How do you want them to see money differently?
Well, we are actually doing that with them now. Every Sunday, since we finished our family retreat, every Sunday we are meeting with them for 1 hour, going over first the standards that we created as a family, the family constitution that we created, but also I am sharing with them the things that I am doing with money, like tracking every other cent. And we talk about it and I share with them. And every time I can, I share something new that I discover, or I tell them, look about infinite banking. This is what we're doing. And I show him, Connor just put from his own savings of 2 years of gifts that they give him, birthday presents.
Earning too, yeah.
He put $217 as a PUA in his policy. On like his own money, not money that we told Connor we're going to put 2,000. It was his money that he didn't buy toys with, gift cards, whatever he chose to have it. He put it. So that to me was amazing because he's 11 years old and he knows a PUA. And Diego is almost there because we want him to do it on his own, but they're understanding much better money. And for me, that is the goal more than us, what we're creating financially, that we will make sure, it's used. They are understanding and they will have their own banking because they are seeing how it's changing our life. So we're not just talking about it. We're taking action.
We're doing it. We're having conversations, but we're doing it and we're showing and we're asking them, what do you understand? And for the first time, like we're all on the same page with our goals. Like the boys are aware, like we just made up a budget, right? And not budget, we're calling it tracking because nobody wants a budget suck.
Yeah, no.
Budget sucks. So we're calling it tracking. But we're tracking because we have goals. We have goals to have X amount to put it to work so more money can come in so Patty can go do the things that she wants to do, whether it's shopping or her hair. Because now the money that we started paying attention to is out there making money for Patty to do the things. And it's been, and just anybody listening, this has been we're in year 5 on this journey already yeah, it'll be 5 years at the end of this year. I mean, the first year when I started this path, when I started changing my relationship with money, I took us all like using my qualified money, right? Took us all to an awesome Christmas vacation. And that kind of started a tradition for us because the first time that anyone other than me had seen snow. And so we started that momentum and shifting. It's all these little shifts. I just want anyone listening, it's the little things. It's the little things that you start doing consistently over time that make the most change. It might be holding the space. It might be getting a coach to be able to talk about money. But then eventually you start changing your relationship with it. What would you say your biggest, we haven't talked about it in this manner. So what would you say like the biggest change or the biggest thing that what's the thing that you're most excited about coming up? Or maybe in the next 5 years? Like, where do you see this going? What are you most excited about what the momentum that we have now? Like, what do you think it looks like?
I guess right now we're talking about, in our policies, we have loans. So we've been talking about, finally paying those loans. That money is working for us. So it's creating passive income, but we want to, continue paying those loans back so we can create more passive income, which is something that I would never think before. And for that's why I decided I'm going to start tracking my money. And when I start tracking my money, I realized that we were spending in ridiculous. Like we were paying $28 for Netflix so we can have it in 6 devices. That doesn't make sense. So I downloaded, imagine, which is $28 probably thank God for us, is really nothing, but it's a lot of money to have it in 6 devices.
Times 12.
So
times the 4 years we didn't know.
I think it's now $7.99. We're going to have a couple of commercials, but the rest of that money is going to be paying for us for the things that we want. Disney, I was paying $18 because so the signal can be for a 4K television that we don't even have it. And, and with no ads. So I said, you know what? If I keep $7 back to us, we'll watch a couple of commercials and we don't have a 4K TV. So that's what I start doing, tracking. Instead of telling them we're budgeting because that's like a negative word, I start tracking everything. So now we have come up with, I think it was a total of $75 a month that it's going to go back to us. Now, we're not going to go spend it in something else because then that would be the worst thing to do.
Yeah, then you're just consuming, you're not building.
But those $75, we're going to go put it, paying us back for the other goals that we have.
You created a proper spending plan.
Yes.
That's what you did. You created a spending plan to take control of your money. Yes. And what Jason and I teach people all the time is it's not the dollar amount. It's not the interest rate. It's the volume. And so when people hear you about $26 here, $18 there, all that adds up. It's the volume that really starts destroying your wealth. It's not the actual dollar amount. It's why you can sign up for a gym membership at Planet Fitness for $19 a month. It's not the $19 a month. It's the volume that you're going to pay over time for not going to the gym.
Yes. Yeah, for the things you're not using in your life, it's the slowing down the speed up. I think that's what I just heard being said is we're slowing down the speed up. Like we're going yesterday, I took off the day. It was our quarterly meeting. We sat down the whole day going through our finances, getting super clear on the business side, on the personal side. How much are we saving? How much are we actually paying ourselves? We actually realized that to reach the goals, even though we're paying ourselves 20% and living on probably a little less than 80% right now, that we actually want to find another at least 11% to pay ourselves at this point, right? From what we're making, not go out and do the first thing of making more money, but we know we can keep getting more lean and structured and streamlined because we have goals. And once you have that goal and everyone's on board, like the boys even, like they're like, oh, when can we go have our favorite, favorite food again in the favorite restaurant?
And we still are doing taekwondo. Connor is in a private school. So we are not downgrading our lifestyle. We are just tracking what is the money that we're spending that we don't need to spend. Yeah. So when you see it like that, it's totally different.
And then where do we store it?
In ourselves, in
your personal bank.
In our personal bank. So don't think that we are like, lowering our lifestyle or like we're gonna know. Nobody would even realize what we're doing because we're still eating. Like we buy healthy food, which we all know it's super expensive compared to like not healthy food. We're still doing all that. But instead of like one thing that it was interesting, I usually get I like the olive oil, right? So the olive oil, the brand, I think is the California something. It was I was buying the one that comes with a hook, so you just spread the oil and it's easier. And then yesterday they didn't have that one on Publix, and they had the one in the crystal. And the one in the crystal, I think it was $16.99, but the one with the little thing was $19.99. And then I realized that, oh my God, I was paying, for the last 5 months, I've been paying $3 extra, I think. We don't use olive oil. Instead of me just keeping the one and hooking both of them and putting the oil back there. And I know this may sound like a grandma thing to do, right? But that's how I start thinking about the things. And I still get olive oil. I still got ribeye steaks for us yesterday. So it's not like I'm buying the cheaper steak. But I start saying, you know what? This doesn't make sense. I'm going to do this. It's little things like that.
Paying attention. It's just paying attention to your money. That's what it is.
And I was so proud of myself.
I want to point this out too. It is a lot easier to recapture that money than it is to try and go and make that money in Wall Street, to make that money in an investment. I give an example all the time. I have an interest rate of 2.25% on one of my rentals. The effective interest rate is 38% because of amortization. And so I turn around and ask, is it not easier to recapture 38% by running this through my own bank than it is to go out and try to earn 38%? Because the net effect is my personal bank has an extra 38% of cash sitting in it. Whether I go out and recapture it or I go out and try to earn it in the Wall Street casino, some sort of market-based, investment. So really the recapturing, we're not telling people to do anything different other than start tracking and measuring what matters. And if your money matters, it should be measured.
So that is being all the changes that I have done. And I'm teaching that to my kids. So then their mindset is about thinking about that. Now they know that we are doing this tracking. So mommy, how much did you spend in Publix? That's a grocery store. Today, I never thought before about it, but now I told them today, this is how much I'm going to go spend, because we get the steak, I go to the farm to buy like organic eggs, I go all these things, but and nothing is changing in our life. It's just like, I'm just tracking the money better, not wasting in little things here and there. And
the most importantly, we're talking about it. We're talking about it. And that's what we said in this podcast. We would talk about things that people did not talk about when we were growing up. You did not talk about money at home. You did not talk about politics or religion or other things, but all those things create fear and create rules. And until you really start understanding what other people understand and being willing to have a conversation, not to prove them wrong, but just to listen and see how they're thinking about something. Because as Jeremy said, this is all about our thinking. And when you start understanding that there are certain laws of wealth, there's certain laws of life, and they're much, much simpler than we ever can imagine. And we think it can't be that easy. It can't be like our last name. It can't be simple as Sipple, Huggins.
Yeah. So as we start to wrap things up here, in your opinion, what kind of family or what kind of person should be considering infinite banking? Like, what would you tell that person who's on the fence?
So I would tell, if a father is listening to me, or a couple are listening to me, or a mother is listening to me, don't be afraid because it's something that it doesn't make sense that you're going to do it, or it's impossible to do it. I think is for each one of you, because the first thing you have to do is you start tracking your money to see where you're spending it. And once you're able to actually see what is leaking, what is going outside that you don't need it, that's when you can start making plans to take control back of your money. But if you don't know when your money is going or running away, you cannot take control of it. If you don't know how much you're paying for Netflix, or if you go to, a lot of people always mention everywhere, Starbucks. In all the masterminds about money that you hear, Starbucks is a big thing. I wonder why, because everybody goes to Starbucks and they think it's just $6.99, it's just $7.99. But all those things will matter when you're tracking your money. And this is basically for all the families. I hear Jason, I am blessed to hear Jason and you talking to clients, because you also help people, right, take control back of their money. And it's everybody from all kinds of backgrounds. That somewhere people that were homeless that listened for Jason for 1 year, and now they have their own bank. Somewhere that's that they couldn't do it anymore and they were desperate. I've heard them being vulnerable with Jason, and now they are open their own policies. It's being single moms that they're like, no, I can't. And this, they listen, they learn, and they did it. I mean, it's everybody. It's for everybody.
Everybody willing to take ownership and take action, and take imperfect action. You know, it's something that we hear a lot in Taekwondo. Take imperfect action. There is no such thing as perfect action. Don't wait for it to be perfect. Don't wait. I mean, I know you asked Patty this question, but anyone listening who's on the fence, why are you on the fence? I have someone going through underwriting right now that's approved, and he's like, I'm going to go learn a little bit more. And I told his brother, I'm like, go get the 2x4 and walk over and smack him upside the head like Jim Hacksaw Duggan, you know, back in the WWF, because it's not more education he needs action. Like, the brother referred him. He working with me because his brother referred him to me to have that conversation. And his brother teaches about wealth and everything else, and he's just scared, and I don't know what he's scared of. And until we're willing to say what we're scared of, then you can't move through it. Like, eventually, I hope it clicks, but that's like when you ask Nelson, what's the biggest risk? Not participating.
Yeah, I think actually the scariest thing is if you are uncertain or you're not happy with your current circumstances, think of where you're going to be a year from now. And if you don't change something, you're going to end up right in the same place next year. So
worse.
like Jason's point, you have to take imperfect action.
Or worse. If you imagine your life wherever you are today. If you're super happy and everything's going well, that's awesome. Like, what's the big goal? How are you going to go make more impact? If you're struggling, if you're stressed, if you're worried, if money seems to be something that you'd like to have more of, imagine yourself a year from now and an event happens. And it could be good, it could be bad, but either way, were you prepared? If it was a good event, market opportunities, maybe the market crashes, an opportunity to buy things cheap, make a lot of money in the future. That's how the wealthy get wealthier. Or something breaks down. You have a medical emergency. Were you prepared? Were you prepared? And how did that feel? And where are you a year from now? Imagine that now you have more debt, you have more pain, you have more fear, and you're older. So take action. Take action.
If you're at that age, you can still start. So that's basically what you were asking me. And I think everybody should give themselves the opportunity to try it and do it, because it's really not hard. We are not the Rockefellers. We are the Sipples. We started with like arguments and fights and everything. We didn't start with like a trust or money that we had inherited, that other people do it. We actually started arguing, fighting, and Jason just making the money and me supporting him. That's how we started. No other way. Sacrificing some things, getting some money from the IRA. So it is for everybody, because we live in the United States, and this is a country of opportunities. I say that because I'm from a third world country, so I can say that. But it's for everybody. It's not, you don't have to be a Rockefeller or a Kennedy or a Trump to start this at all. That's how they did it. But we can do it too. The people that work every day.
We can do it too here at WealthWise Banking. So Jeremy, my captain, what are we doing here? Let's wrap this up.
Yeah, I think you and Patty should wrap this up. Patty knows how we wrap episodes.
What? How do we wrap it up?
have to say, we're going to say, because what do we say?
You're already in banking.
You're already in banking.
You're just not the bank yet.
Thanks for joining us on WealthWise Banking. If today's episode inspired you, please subscribe, leave a review, and give us a like. It's a simple way to help others discover these empowering strategies and join our community. Together, we're building a network of people who believe financial freedom is within everyone's reach. Remember, financial independence is about making every dollar work for you, one step at a time. Until next time, stay inspired, stay in control, and keep building your legacy the wise way.